to learn that starting a business is more than just a shot in the dark. When you start a business, there are 5 major steps that you have to take. And I think they're easy, but I've been through this many times. As I said earlier, I'm a serial entrepreneur. But the first thing you're going to do is decide on your business structure. And then you're going to decide your business name. You got to write a business plan, and you've got to find out what license, permits, and taxes are required. And then there's the accounting and the business operations. So when you first start a business, the initial decisions that you make have a tremendous impact on your personal life and the future of your business. So it's important to do it right from the beginning. When you are driving your business, you should know every facet of it, since no one will love your business like you do. So let's first of all talk about the business structure. A sole proprietorship is the simplest, it's the most common, and the owners have total control. Typical businesses are home-based, they're shops or retail outlets, and one person or more than one person, consulting firms. The sole proprietor is responsible for all record keeping, all self-employment taxes, and there really is no protection for the business owners. So it's always important for you to get the appropriate amount of insurance. The sole proprietor is responsible for the company's debt and the financial obligations. Now, the partnership is where 2 people, 2 or more people, join together and make a partnership. Each partner has an equal share in the net profits and the net losses. Each partner reports their income on their personal tax return. And each partner pays their own self-employment taxes to the IRS. In a partnership, each partner is personally liable for all debt and obligations. And they're personally liable for the actions of other partners. So it's very important that you have a great relationship with someone you're going into business with. Oral agreements or handshakes are okay, but you really should get a written agreement, because if there are disputes or lawsuits between the partners, the written agreement is going to be much more defendable. With a limited liability company, that's an LLC, there's a hybrid. It can be a corporation or a partnership. The owners are considered members, they're called members. There is some protection from liabilities and other obligations. It's similar to a corporation. It can be set up and managed, though, like a partnership. And you're taxed on it depending the structure. It does offer some protection, but it is limited. The corporation is the most complex, but it separates the liabilities and obligations from the company operations from being the responsibility of the owners. So you have like a veil or a protection from the business. It's regulated by state law, and it's taxed as a separate entity. Now here in California, where I reside and my business is, we have an $800 per year minimum tax for the joy of being incorporated. Other states don't have that large a number, but that $800 a year is a minimum. Even if you're not profitable, you still owe that $800. So that can be rather difficult if you're not making money. So consider that if you become a corporation. But the owners are taxed at the individual tax rate. So you get a Form K, Schedule K, from your tax preparer for the corporate tax preparer, and you file that with your personal income tax. So there are two main types of corporations: the subchapter C, that's like an ordinary corporation, and then subchapter S, which passes the income and losses to the shareholders. And so you avoid the federal income taxes, and that prevents double taxation of any of the corporate profits. And when I was incorporated, I was subchapter S. Now there are also more than one nonprofit formations. The one we're probably most familiar with is the 501c3. It can be organized as a corporation, an LLC, a trust, or an unincorporated association. And then if the organization's reach is permanently limited to what the filing is. So you actually form the business first, and then you become a nonprofit. And so you're going to want to consult a business attorney for that. Creating and registering a business name. I think this is always probably one of the most fun activities, but naming your company is something very meaningful for you. But make sure that it's easy to spell and pronounce. Make sure it's easy to remember. Have some likability and uniqueness. Make sure it's not too long, especially for your web presence. You don't want someone accidentally misspelling your name and not being able to find you. So you're going to want to check the availability of your business name. And you do that, you start locally, you search the FBN database, and that's the fictitious business name. And then you should do a national search. And I would search in trademarks, service marks, and patents. This is really a deep dive, but you don't want to have a trademark or service mark that's similar to someone else's. And I've given you the link here to do your trademark search. And again, at the end of the program, I'll upload this program, the slides, so you'll have these live links. What I would also do is do a national search under copyrights. And here is the link for that. And again, it's not really necessary, but I believe in being very thorough. And if you're doing the research, it doesn't take that much longer to do this search online. Also, just do an internet search. Other countries, other companies in other countries can use the same name that you do. There's nothing to prevent that. And my company name, JDP Photography, there is a JDP Photography in England and one that I know of in Australia. So JDP Photo is not uncommon in the world. So again, do your search, just be thorough about it. So after you create your business name, you're going to create your tagline. And that's a catchy little phrase that will help customers and the public remember you. So you're probably familiar with the tagline, "You're in good hands with Allstate." You can just envision the logo of the open hands and seeing the Allstate name. So that's very recognizable. There's another one that's near and dear to my heart, and my tagline is JDP Photography, more than just a shot in the dark. So you're going to want to create your internet identity. That would be your website, first and foremost, and then your social media. If you're doing business as, you've heard of a DBA, it's not required by all states, but you have to do that research so you don't get into trouble. And you can use your last name in the fictitious business name, and it doesn't because you don't have to make it a fictitious business name. So it's the surname used in your business name that avoids the FBN. The fictitious business name is run by each county, and it's required if your business name doesn't include the surname, the last name of the individual, or a name that suggests existence of additional owners. Oops. EIN. You can get an EIN, an employer identification number. You can get that through the IRS. There's no cost. And I've put the link to the IRS here. They're out of Cincinnati, Ohio. If you actually fill out a simple application online, you can get your EIN within just a few minutes of completing the application right online. That EIN identifies you, your business accounts, your tax returns, documents. Even if you don't have any employees, you can use an EIN, and you use that instead of your social security number. So after you've done a real thorough search to avoid any conflicts and infringements, and you've applied for your FBN if it's required, then you start working on your logo. You can pay a graphic designer quite a bit of money. Trust me, it's worth it. Or you can use a freelancer for low dollars, more limitation, but it can be done. And then you're going to want to go into branding. You want the same look for everything across your business. So my website, purple and gold. My business cards are purple and gold. My slide presentation that you're seeing today is purple and gold. I use purple ink. I wear purple clothes. So it's all part of my brand. Color is part of my brand. So now let's dive into the business plan. So with your brand message, you talk about how you became a company and what your company wants to achieve and who your target audience is. Also, you're going to discuss what your products and or services are. And most important, what makes your company unique? How are you different from every other company that's doing the same thing you want to do? You're going to describe your business in the business plan. This guides your mission statement. And your mission statement is a reflection of your values. So there are core values that you will want to consider. And I've got a list coming up for you, but I suggest that you limit your selection to 2 or 3, because this will help you focus on your mission without distraction. So if you look at these lists, pick 2 or 3 that really move you and have meaning that you want to bring to your business. So this will take some time for you to work on, but think long and hard about these values that you want to bring to the business. Then you're going to do some market analysis, like who are your customers? So you're going to do customer and audience research. And you're going to do that by interviews and surveys from your current customers. But you say, well, I'm not in business yet. I don't have any customers. You have friends and relatives that you may already be talking about your business, or they may be working with your products already. That's the core of your interview. And then you can expand from there, but start with the people that know you, that are your friends, and ask them questions. You're going to set up a database for their answers. You're going to get their demographics, like where they live, approximately how much money they make, what kind of car they drive. It depends on how deep you want to go into demographics. But a key demographic is their interests. What do they do? And how does that meet up with your products and your solutions? And you're going to want to find out what their challenges are, because if they have a challenge and you have a solution, they are your customers, and that's your target audience. You want to make sure you get all their contact information, including mailing address with zip codes, have it all in separate fields, because if you decide you want to do a mailing to just these people in a zip code, you're going to want to be able to sort the data by the zip code. And so therefore you want to make your database electronic and searchable. So to define your target audience, you've got to decide who they are and why should they be interested in what you have to offer. You have to figure out, you have to learn their challenges so you can figure out what problem to solve for them. And then how are you going to sell to them? Well, with your brand message, of course, you're going to design an elevator speech that's 30 seconds. And you're going to want to consider creating an intro video. Tell them all about you. Let them get to know you. People do business with people they know and like. And so on my Take Lessons profile, I recently made a video that I hope conveys who I am, I'm about, and why you should take lessons with me. So a competitive advantage is important to put in your business plan, because you've got to know how you're going to be different to gain market share. When you can easily identify that, you've got half the battle won right there. And what makes your company unique? So you're going to want to set goals and objectives and exactly what you want to achieve, and write them down so that you can track them. It's really important to track so that you know you're on the road to success, or if you need to change a little bit to get back on the road straight and narrow. Make them challenging, but make them realistic. So for example, you're going to say, by this date we're going to reach this goal. Write it down, be specific, and then set metrics to track your progress. And that means setting milestones. And I use my QuickBooks reports to do all sorts of timely reports and tracking, which means you've got to keep your accounting up to date. Set rewards for your goal achievements. Don't just ignore when you've got a goal or something you set. Make it a big deal. That will energize you to continue to reach more goals and move forward. Let's talk about operations in the business plan. Who's going to run the business, and what roles will there be for the day-to-day operations? Like, who's going to turn on the coffee pot? Who's going to do the filing? Who's going to call the customers? Who's going to pack the boxes with our products to send out? So think about all that thoroughly. Again, write it down. Is the business scalable? It will behoove to plan right from the beginning, because you don't want to get stuck by too much growth too fast. For example, the program that we're using today, Zoom, they had, and don't quote me on these numbers, but they had like 100 million customers. And when the pandemic hit, they went to 300 million customers within 5 months. And they weren't quite prepared for that. They've scrambled, they've turned it around, they've become more secure. But think about those things, plan for the success. So plan for the success and save for the growth. Save some money as you're going along. Don't spend every dime that you have that comes in. So speaking of money, let's talk about financing. Are you going to self-fund, which means you're going to take it out of your own bank account? If so, decide what money is already available. And do you have like a first tier amount of money and you have more money to dip into? How are you going to fund it if it's money coming out of your own pocket? Are you going to raise capital? how much money are you going to raise and from whom. You know that, well, you might not know, if you are raising capital from some lending source or angels, they're going to want collateral to secure the loan. And trust me, they're not going to say, oh yeah, we'll take your accounts receivables. No, they're going to want something tangible, like your home or your boat or something that has value that they can turn around and sell to get their money back. So it's, you've got to be very serious if you're going to try and raise capital that way. So you've got to plan your financing and decide how you're going to produce your product or service. You want to calculate the costs to create it and the pricing model. So you've got to make a profit from selling. We live in a capitalist economy, and our goal is to make a profit from what we sell. You want to write down all the details because you don't want to forget anything. You don't want to do an oopsie and say, oh, I didn't plan on that. That could really throw your total business in a tailspin. So write down everything you can think of. Also, you've got to decide how your customers will pay you. Do you take cash, check, debit card, credit card? I quit taking checks quite a while ago because I don't want to spend my time chasing bounce checks. So I just don't take checks anymore. I would rather pay the extra fee because that gets built into the cost of goods sold for taking credit card and keeping my cash flow going. If I have to wait 30 days for money to come in, then that means I have to maybe put off an important purchase or paying some bills, whatever. So I would rather have the cash flow sooner than later. Now, PayPal and PayPal.me is a really good option because it's world recognized. You can do business anywhere in the world with a PayPal account, or just about anywhere in the world. And you don't see the customer's credit card number. You don't have to worry about security or securing that information. And with PayPal.me, that's an immediate payment right on site. So there's also Square, that's a merchant service, and there are other merchant services that you can investigate. Those carry a fee as well. PayPal also carries a fee. But merchant services are the old-fashioned machine that we used to use to take an imprint of the credit cards. So anyway, don't want to get too far down that hole. I really like the ability to make electronic payments, and so I just want to share this with you real quick. It's so easy to set up a PayPal.me account to collect your money. And so you navigate to www.paypal.me, click to get started, enter your desired username, click grab this link, log into your PayPal account, or you can set up a new one at that time. Check that all your information is correct, select a theme color, upload a picture, which is very important. You want your customers or clients to see that it's really you. Don't use one of those silhouettes. It could be anybody taking their money, and that won't make them comfortable. So here's mine for my photography business. And with they can put in the amount, click next, a couple of button pushes, and your money is winging its way to you. So you want to generate revenue over time, and you're going to use reports, cash flow, and projections. And we'll talk a little bit more about these in just a minute. Have somebody else look at your model and your pricing calculations before publishing anything. Because no matter how many times we review something, we sometimes make typos and we don't see it because our mind knows what's supposed to be there. So have somebody proofread your work. You're going to do a profit and loss projection, a cash flow projection, a projected balance sheet, and a break-even analysis. Now, if you're not in accounting, you may not know anything about these reports. That's why you're going to count on your experts. Either you may get a bookkeeper. The next step up from that is a QuickBooks Pro. Next step up is an enrolled agent, and then the CPA is at the top. They will help you with making these reports. But a famous person said, trust but verify. Make sure that you understand just a little bit about what you're supposed to know about these reports and what purpose they serve. So get a little bit of knowledge and then count on your experts to help you with this. So now let's talk about products and services. You sell what you show. So in the photography business, if I want to sell a 30 by 40 inch wall portrait, I've got to show my clients the size, because sometimes people think an 8 by 10 is a big portrait. It is not, it's very small. So if you want to sell something big, you've got to have a big sample. And you've got to know how much it costs. There's the cost of goods sold. So let's say you buy 10 pieces to go in, one piece will go into one product. So you divide those 10 pieces into 10 different products. But you have a lot of other things that go into the cost of each piece you manufacture. That is piece specific, so to speak, as opposed to your overhead costs. That's like electricity, mortgage, gas for the car, or the vehicles for your business. That's all overhead and not manufactured part specific. So you've got to figure out what all of those costs are. Know how much you want to take home. If you decide that you don't want to put 60 hours a week into your business, decide how much time you want to take off. And that will help you decide how many hours you have to work in a week, how many pieces you have to sell, what you have to charge your clients to allow you to have a life. And it's important for you to spend time on all parts of your life, not dedicate every living, breathing moment to your business, because you'll suffer from burnout. So you have to learn to partition your time. And don't sell yourself short. You must have some sort of expertise to be able to go into this business. So don't feel you have to give your work away for free. Now, you may want to give some freebies as introductions or whatever, but if you have a service that you have an education to deliver, you have some experience to deliver, don't feel that you can't charge a fair fee. And don't offer too much. If you have too many products, it's confusing for the client or the customer, and it's hard for you to keep up. They might not even make a purchase because they're too confused, they can't make up their mind. So start out by offering not too much, and when you see that that's not enough, then you can start adding products or services. Now, the marketing section of the business plan, marketing and sales, you'll learn, are two different organizations. So who will take care of your marketing? And who will be actively selling your products? Again, marketing is like promotions and networking meetings. Selling your product is standing behind the counter or taking phone calls, actually selling your product. But you want to make sure that these two align, because by tracking them, you'll see if if you're reaching your goal, you'll see what's working and you'll see what's not working so you can implement changes to get back on track. So you're going to market and sell your products, and to do that, you're going to develop methods and tactics. You're going to research and select the tools to use. Do thorough research before you spend any money, and select the best tools. You're not going to take just somebody's suggestion, oh, this is going to be perfect for you, and you haven't done some sort of comparison. That's really important, to select the best tools. Trust me, I've made some mistakes in the past. I don't buy anything anymore just because, oh, it sounds like it might be good for me. I do the research and figure out, is this really the time to spend that money? Or is this really the best tool? So acquisition channels to get new customers are just simply the ways you're going to bring customers into your business. If you establish a yearly calendar with holidays, events, promotions, specials, you can know what your cash flow is going to be for the year. I would advise you to avoid giving discounts because that's really cash out of your pocket. Give them something that has value, but that you control the cost, not cash out of your pocket. For your marketing, you're going to have an internet presence, and that's going to be your website. And you know that it's got to have relevant content. You're going to have your social media presence, and that would be Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and that's going to be your professional resume, and you can put articles and that on your LinkedIn. Pinterest, Twitter, and YouTube. These are all the biggies. And I've got a little strategy. I'll tell you what my strategy is. Yours may be different, but these are the big ones that I feel that you should seriously have a presence on. So I automate my social media postings as much as possible. I can sit down on one day and prepare several posts that will be automatically posted for me, and I use a program called Missing Letters that will drip post these throughout the year. So I found that Planoly will allow me to post on Pinterest, Instagram. I have 3 Instagram accounts. I have 3 Facebook accounts, and I restrain myself. I only have 1 Twitter account. And so I found that Planoly does all of these for me, and that I get a big bang for my buck. And Missing Letter will automatically post to my Facebook pages, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And I can have up to 25 social media accounts in my little Missing Letter account. Tailwind does Pinterest and Instagram automatically together. There's Buffer, there's Hootsuite, and there are others. This is my current social media strategy right now. So I create a pin for Pinterest, and that can feed into Twitter and LinkedIn. And my Instagram posts will automatically, the exact same post will feed into Facebook. But don't forget that you've got stories on Facebook and Instagram. So take advantage of that. And you can also do live videos. You should plan on some YouTube strategy because a lot of buying goes on with YouTube influence. And so I just included a little funny video that I did. So to automate my blog posts, so I have websites that are they're WordPress, and it's like a blog. But when I do a blog post, Missing Letter drips that out over 365 days a year. Now, not every day. I suppose I could set it up for that, but you want it spaced periodically so that your audience hears from you on a regular basis, and you're not confined to your computer, preparing this and posting it every single day. And right now, these are 5 of the accounts that my missing letter automatically posts to. So word of mouth is very important. And social media, you can get reviews on Facebook, and of course, keep on top of those. Make sure that if you get a poor review, that you address it professionally and timely, very quickly. You can offer rewards of money or swag or promotions, but with promotions, you've got to be consistent and make sure you thank your customers. Nothing touches them better than when they get a thank you from you, a handwritten card or some sort of follow-up. So your legal obligations under a business structure, there's, of course, the sole proprietor, partnership, LLC, corporations, and then you've got your tax considerations based on your business structure, and your pro staff contractors can help you with that. You may want to consider an HR expert if you they handle personnel and staffing for you. So if you have staff or if you have contracts, you might need some help. So a 1099 contractor, if you pay them $600 or more per year, then you must send them a 1099 report by the end of January, and that is reported to the IRS. If you have a work for hire contract, you as the company own the work product. So that's work for hire. And then an employee is where the company dictates the hours, the location, the activities, all of that. So that's considered an employee. So you're going to research your industry and competitors. You can do the research yourself or hire someone to do it. For example, do you need alcohol permits or liability insurance? Are there state restrictions or city restrictions? You've got to do all that research. And do you need a lawyer? Well, make a checklist of all the legal considerations you can think of, and then contact a small business expert, someone who knows contract law. Don't use a probate attorney or criminal or family law. You need to look for someone that's an expert in contract law or with business. So if you get a business license or a permit, it shows that you're serious about business in your town. It may be required anyway, but it gives you credibility and it shows that you're trustworthy. You can get a sales and use permit from the State Board of Equalization. It may be called something in your state, but it's a state-run organization that collects your sales tax. Get a city business license. You can get forms from the city website, or you can go to City Hall and pick them up. So the city will be able to tell you what you need. And in case there are additional forms like special permits and that for where you're going to do business in the city. If it's required, if you're doing a photo shoot for advertising for your company, you may need a model or property release. And I always document all of that. I have an electronic form that I use, and here's the link for that. Always get a release. If there's any question, it's better for you to have it than try to get it afterwards or when you're in a legal dispute. So your financial statements, you're going to need to know a balance sheet, the P&L, profit and loss, cash flow, and the break-even analysis. Again, here are the experts that you can call on to get help with this. With taxes, there's federal, state, there's sales and use, which is paid quarterly or yearly. Other local, state, county, and city, everybody gets their slice of the pie. You pay it when you're reporting it. There's payroll taxes for your employees. There's self-employment tax for yourself. That's estimated estimated quarterly, or if you don't meet the threshold, you can pay it with your taxes when you do your taxes at the end of the year. Again, all these experts can help you. So my biggest recommendation is don't do this alone. Fees and penalties apply and can be very costly when you're dealing with taxes. And again, count on your experts to help you through this. So, where do you go from here? If you can just complete and publish the first draft, not the whole final draft, but the first draft of your business plan, you're already ahead of 90% of your competition. Just remember that. So go out and be successful. And now you know that starting a business is more than just a shot in the dark. Here is my contact information.